What is up, YouTube? Sports Brain here. Got my Redskins stuff going. Big fan. Sad ending for us, but we'll go over it. We're going over all the games, player of the game, plays of the week. Now, just to let you know, episode 1 of many to come. Hope you guys enjoy. So, we're talking some NFL. So, first, Patriots Chiefs 42-27 to the Chiefs. And, I don't want to come out too early and say that the Patriots aren't going to be as good as they were last season, but they probably won't be as good as they were last season. And obviously, the MVP of that game, Kareem Hunt, 3 total touchdowns after his second fumble in 860 career multiple league touches, because he had 859 in college, fumbled once on his first touch in the NFL. So I guess that's how it goes. So, for once, in a very, very long time, we can say that the Bills and the Jets got to compete for first in the AFC East today. That's the joke that we were pondering yesterday. And that's Bills 21, Jets 12. Player of that game, probably LaShawn McCoy, as always. Over 100 rushing yards. He had that touchdown. He was just beasting. And then Steelers-Browns with the blocked punt for the touchdown, I found quite hilarious. Obvious player of the game, Antonio Brown. 11 targets, 11 receptions, 182 receiving yards, and a touchdown. You just can't top that. Cardinals-Lions. Kenny Golladay, for me, is probably the player of the game. Rookie in his first game in the NFL. He catches 2 touchdowns, including the one that turned out to be the nail in the coffin. So, yeah, the Buccaneers-Dolphins game was postponed. Falcons-Bears, 23-17. So, for that one, player of the game for me, Austin Hooper. 128 receiving yards on 2 receptions with a touchdown. And Vic Beasley with the sack and Brooks Reed with 2 sacks. That's a pretty good performance. Then Raiders-Titans. So player of the game for this one's kind of hard. I might end up saying Giorgio Tavecchio, just because he hit 2 52-yarders. Derek Carr threw 2 touchdown passes, but I feel like I'm torn here about the MVP. It's either beast mode for getting 56 rushing yards coming out of retirement on less than 20 carries, or it's Amari Cooper for doing something that I've never seen before in my entire life. That's going to be in the top plays of the week. Then, Ravens-Bengals 20-0. Joe Mixon did not perform this week like I thought he would. But it's not a huge deal, but it's kind of a huge deal. So, people who took my advice, I know it wasn't on YouTube, but people who took my advice that I gave personally saw that Joe Mixon, maybe I was wrong about him. Now, I thought he was going to be a great player, and he was going to be a steal in the draft because people weren't going to rate him as high as they should have, but I don't know, man. It could just be that it's not meant to be. So, then Eagles-Redskins. Ugh, my Redskins lost. We really just got crushed, and so we played terrible football with the 2 fumble turnovers in the first quarter. I think that the refs missed the call at the end of the game. I don't think that Fletcher Cox should have picked that up and had the scoop and score. I think really that was an incomplete pass, but it is what it is. Although Chris Thompson with the crazy play, but Carson Wentz, at the beginning of the game when he broke those 2 tackles and then threw the 58-yard touchdown pass to Nelson Aguilar. It was interesting. Redskins player of the game, I don't think that they probably really deserve that. I have to give the player of the game to Carson Wentz. Now, here's a blowout that I was not expecting. Colts 9, Rams 46. So the player of the game here, in my opinion, is just the Rams defense, because that was insane. Like, the 2 pick sixes, it's absurd. So that's really all there is to say. It was absurd. Panthers 23, Niners 3. Player of that game, his name currently escapes me, but the guy who made the one-handed interception catch might be. Other player of the game possibly was Cam Newton. Then Seahawks Packers, player of the game is the guy who everybody expected to get player of the game, and that's Aaron Rodgers for just being a god. But Seahawks player of the game is Blair Walsh. Now, Blair Walsh, if you guys don't remember, the Vikings could have made the playoffs, I believe it was 2 years ago, and Blair Walsh shanked a field goal wide left, and so they did not make the playoffs. So, after that, he got cut, but in this game, he made a 48-yard field goal right down the middle, so I was proud of him. But yeah, player of that game is Aaron Rodgers. Now, Cowboys-Giants, player of the game, Cole Beasley, uncontestable. You don't make a catch where you're like, whoop, and not get player of the game. I mean, that was insane. Now, you're going to see that in the top plays of the week, but it was simply absurd. Also this week, we had the Saints versus the Vikings and the Chargers versus the Rams on Monday night, I'm filming this on Tuesday, so I have had my haircut. And so, Saints 19, Vikings 29, player of that game, clearly Stephon Diggs for the 2 touchdown catches, one of which is actually in the top plays of the week because it was insane. And, yeah, overall, Dalvin Cook did well, and the Saints just couldn't play defense like they needed to. So that's all I have to say about that game. Now, with the Broncos and the Chargers, the Broncos were definitely hoping to win this 24-0. I mean, they'll take 24-21 and won't complain because it's still a week 1 win, but they scared them there. And so the player of the game is probably Trevor Siemian, but I don't know if I can name one specific player of the game because it was so close that a lot of players played well.